Baldur's Gate 3 is an exceptional game across the board. It's also exceptionally difficult, especially if you choose to play it in rather challenging ways. I enjoyed myself a little bit of solo Tactician alongside my multiplayer playthrough with a friend, and whilst exceptionally difficult, it has enlightened me to a couple of combat tactics and cheese strategies that I figured I wanted to share with you guys. So with that, let me give you 5 things I've learned from solo Tactician. Let's start off with something that seems simple on the surface, but gets a little bit cheesier when you add some game mechanics to it. Dipping your weapons. Now, normally, you can just dip your weapons into fire, and it will add bonus additional damage. This is a relatively good thing to do before any sort of boss fight, but what if you don't have fire readily available to you? You want to get that bonus damage, right? But what if I told you you could carry a candle around with you, drop it on the floor, and light your weapons off the candle, and then go into the boss fight? You can then pick it back up and carry it with you for the entire game if you wanted to. Moving on to our second tip. Did you know you can literally save your team from across the map without healing spells? All you have to do is throw a healing potion at them. And fun fact, whatever number it tells you on screen is actually a complete lie. Because all you have to do is be able to throw the item that far, and it'll splash on the area underneath them and heal them quite easily. You can also use this on NPCs who are knocked out to revive them and give you other conversation options. Moving on to our third point is where things are going to get exceptionally cheesy if you're starting a new character. Because you can get Shadowheart on the Mind Flayer ship, and because she's a cleric, you can prepare her spells anytime you want. So, if before the boss fight on the Mind Flayer ship, you go into her spells, you prepare her spells, and you give her command, you can get the commander's sword exceptionally easy. Well, I say that. You need to save Scum a little bit, because he's going to save the roll quite a few times. So what you can do is you can prepare command on Shadowheart, and what this allows you to do is a plethora of different things. Command has 5 different options, but we're going to be primarily using drop here. So what you're going to do is you're going to head into the fight, you're going to get Shadowheart close, quick save, and then attempt to command drop the commander until he drops his ever-burning blade on the floor. To which you're going to steal it, and then run for your fucking life. Moving on to our fourth tip, and speaking of that ever-burning blade, what if you don't have anyone in your party who uses two-handed greatswords? You now have this spectacular weapon, but no one to really put it on. Well, if you run Will, he turns out to be a spectacular item carrier. Reason being is he's a warlock, and if you pick Pact of the Blade at level 3, he'll gain access to Bind Pact Weapon. And basically what this allows you to do is turn any weapon into a proficient weapon for Will. He binds the weapon, it then turns into a charisma modifier weapon. Yes, it is that stupid, I promise you. So basically, he can take that ever-burning blade and get a +5 or +7 to attack just by binding it as his pact weapon. So later into the game, if you come across anything cool, or even just want to pass down some of your downgrades, Will is the perfect recipient for it. And our final point to end on is going to be a bit of a sneaky one. Because what you want to do is make sure to start your fights from hidden. If you're playing on PC and you press Shift-C, you'll immediately hide your entire party. If you're playing with a controller as well, if you hold down on the D-pad, you will immediately hide your entire party. You don't have to use any other commands or anything like that, it'll do it for you. Reason being is if you're playing with Astarion, or if you're playing solo Tactician, I would highly suggest playing an Assassination Rogue, because this allows you to get a shit ton of damage before the fight even starts. Couple that with the fact coming out of hidden lets you surprise enemies, which basically gives you a full free turn. The Assassination Rogues can also take advantage of this, because anyone who's surprised will be a guaranteed critical hit. That's going to bring us to the end of my 5 tips for solo Tactician. If you enjoyed this, do check out the video on screen that'll teach you every single Baldur's Gate class in under a minute.